So I'm up here today on my first ever soda activation. So far it seems to have gone really well. I actually got 23 people on 20 meters. And I really can't complain about the views today. It's a beautiful, beautiful Memorial Day weekend. There's no tourists up here. They're all up in the other mountains, up over that way. Probably can't show up in the video here, but I figured I'd take a quick moment to kind of show my setup as it is, for more for my proprietary reasons, in terms of I want to be able to look back maybe on what it is that I had. So I'm going to go over a little bit about what my equipment is. So over here I have my basic operating setup. So it is basically a RG174 coax. And I've got power pole connectors, and the center conductor goes to two power pole conductors, the red ones, and then the raised radials go to the black ones, and there's a pair of raised radials. So the first one I have here, and these are Talenti. Actually, I'm going to put this on a thing here. This works better. Oh, that's so much better. So I have a Talenti gelato jar, and I've got two of these things that I'm wrapping the antenna wire on. And this actually has three power pole connectors on it. So when I unspool this completely, one side right here has a just a knot in it, so I can tie it onto something and throw it into a bush. And then I have a one radial that's two power pole connectors on each side. So what I can do is I can connect the two radials together and turn it into a 40 meter. Everything on this is 16.5 feet long, designed and cut for 20 meters specifically, so that what I can do is have elevated verticals coming up the fishing pole, and then I can take one of the radials off and attach it to the other one and make a 40 meter single wire radial. So that's the ground line. My little kit. This is just a Berkley fishing bag that I had. I took some of the stuff out of it because this has kind of been my backup bag of things that I'm not using. So in here I have my second Talenti jar. And at the very least, these are cool little jars, and you get free gelato out of it. And so in here I have spare batteries, headphones, and my keyer. And I also have a little bit of fishing line spooled up on a little line here, so if I want to pull a vertical out further or something like that, I can do that. My keyer is a Palm Pico, and I've had to modify it just slightly. I put the tape on there because these little back tabs have a tendency to break, so I really didn't want to break them. And they're kind of stressed. There's a little stress crazing. You might be able to see it there on the back side, but these little keyers are really cool because you just plug it in and the key will pop out. Unfortunately, Palm Micro doesn't exist anymore, so I'm trying to take careful care of this thing. I have it wrapped in a little bit of electrical tape to avoid scuffs, and because the base I have doesn't have little rubber bumper thingies on here, the magnet will just slide around on things, so not duct tape, electrical tape acts as a slide stop. This key for recording and stuff I put on my clipboard. So on my clipboard here, in my backpack, I got my butt pad. This saved my bacon today. I've been sitting on a rock for an hour and my butt hurts, and that's even with this pad on. I just have a standard clipboard. The cool thing is it's got a metal clip. This thing's got a magnet, so there's my key. I can then put in my log. You can see here, I can just write my log. So the way I ended up sitting was on the rock, kind of hunched over a little bit, not the most comfortable, but with the KX3 close to me and the actual log here, and then I can go and key on the keyer. So that's kind of how I've done the key there. Now, that seems to have worked out pretty well. As I start getting down in the log, problem is I start running out of room between the log and and the KX3, and so I started shifting the KX3 up to the top, but then I couldn't get to the keyer because the KX3 was blocking it. So I think this could use a little rework. I still someday I want to build a little tiny computer with like a USB keyboard to key the KX3. I may will eventually do that someday, but not a priority. So that can go in my backpack. Let's see, and of course I've got my KX3. Right now I'm just using AA nickel metal hydride batteries, and that did me just fine for an hour. 5 watts, but we're on a summit. We're not running 100 watts. We're not gonna. I'm not hauling the battery pack for that. I don't care. 23 contacts and 5 watts. I'm happy, and quite frankly, I suck at CW by comparison. I mean, I had to get repeats. I could hear people just fine. They had perfectly decodable signals, but my head copy's just not 100% there yet. So, but I was really appreciative of the people who actually took the time and went really slow, and those are the people I could copy real easy. Although there were a lot of people who started wanting to chat, and I'm like, yeah, I don't do chat yet. My mast that I put up into the tree is this guy. This is a I bought this thing off of AliExpress, and it's broken in multiple places. It's just a cheap Chinese carbon fiber fishing mast, fishing pole, and this thing was originally 10 meters. So I think this was originally supposed to be like 10 meters of carbon fiber. So it actually ended up being something like 30 feet long. Since then, the top pieces have broken on me. So on the top piece that I have a little miniature carabiner. I can't remember where I got this thing off of. It's just some, cheap little thing. But I've got that electrically taped to the bottom, and then or to the top, and then I can tuck it in, right? And then it will fit into the top here. And then I actually have the lid off of a, I just do that. Here it is. This is the lid off of actually a DK9SQ, separate little 4-square quad. Came in a couple extra ones, and I found that this little lid fit on here just perfectly. A little tight, but that's okay, because I don't want it falling off while it's in my backpack. So this little thing, I can just go. Now I'd be careful. This section right here, if you pull too hard, pops out. These aren't supposed to do that. You can see here it's broken. So this piece is actually broken, but it's good enough because it gets pretty stiff right about this point. I just have to remember and actually see the little orange mark that I put here for myself to not go, oh crap, and then have it fall off. So this thing actually goes up about 20-ish something feet. I'll see if I can get some, kind of show how tall that is there, but it's up there. So at the summit of this mountain, the actual marker is right over here for Horse Ridge, but there's a tree on the actual true summit, and so I can put a line way up there. So the reason I'm saying this, and the reason why I kind of did it in this fashion and order, or doing my intro in this order, if I can find a way to stand this thing back up again. There we go. The reason I'm saying this in this order is because I kind of wanted to show this before I show the actual element that I'm putting up in the air. So I'm going to collapse this thing back up again, and we'll just put it aside. And I'm going to show, so this is the Talenti jar that had all the other stuff in it, but you'll note that this one has red power poles, and this one only has 2 red power poles in it. On this one I actually have a loop. So what I can do is this thing is actually doubled. So the element actually starts here, and what I can do then is I loop this little loop here through the D-ring on the pole, and then both of these together go into the feed point of the coax. Now that's for 20 meters. For 40 meters, all I have to do is unplug one of these power poles and then pull the power pole away, and I can use a little bit of fishing line to create an L. So I'll actually have then a 40-meter radial and then a 40-meter L going up off of, so then I can tie it to a rock or another tree or something like that. There's a lot of the summits around here usually have trees. They're not all completely 100% barren. The worst case would probably be like South Sister, which has nothing. But other than that, there's usually a rock or something that you can kind of utilize. Oh, I got motorcyclists here. Interesting. Haven't seen anybody all day. I thought OHV usage was not allowed here until July, but whatever. Other than that, that's kind of been my experience here. So first Soda Summit, all looking good. And we have beautiful views, beautiful sunshine. There's a barbed wire fence here, but I'm going to end up my car's parked down over here, and I'm going to go back to the car now. Thank you all for watching, and enjoy.